Hello and welcome to Mountain Bears. I'm Aeson, and of course with me tonight is the techie with most, is Techie Joe. How are you, darling?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you this evening?
I'm decent. You know, I wouldn't go for a long hike, but that's okay. I don't need to go for a long hike today.
Hey, fair enough. So, hey, Devin. Hey, Brenda. Hey, Emily.
Hi, guys.
Yes.
All right. So, yesterday was Gay Liberations Day, i.e. Stonewall Riot, Remembrance Day, the founding things to Pride. What I find interesting is our Pride today. Oh, crap. I forgot to turn the light on. There we go. Our Pride today is very much trying to, you know, you get a bunch of boys together, they're going to start making stupid comments, but like leather doesn't belong at Pride, but you know, if you're in a heteronormal relationship, you should leave your partner at home if you're bi. And I'm like, please, this is like baloney, because the modern Pride was actually started by a poly BDSM leather wearing bi female. Remember your roots, people. I did get me something cool, and I think I'm going to wear it.
Hey, there you go. Are you mini pearling it? Did you get
Yeah, it was.
Oh, God.
There we go.
All right.
All right, let's kind of cover some questions because we're getting some questions here. Hi, Emily. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Devin. We don't do it on Saturday unless we have to. I.e., yesterday, there's a very large scheduling conflict, so we had to take the time off. So we moved it to Saturday for this week. We'll be back on our normal Sunday at 9 thing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, so Devin loves the hat. Yeah,
Thank you.
That was his Five Below find.
Yes. You know, I may start wearing more hats. I don't know. I'm in that mood. Like I used to have a beautiful black Stetson. Actually, I think it's still in my closet in the Invisibles room. It just needs to be sent to the cleaner.
Yeah, Anna says the hat's in her way. We like it more. We like it. Devin has a thing for hats. Fair enough.
Cool. Sure. I used to have a thing for cowboy hats. Like I always had different cowboy hats.
Aw. Bea got me a cute hat at Putnam Pride today.
Cool. Very cool. Hope you had a great time at Putnam Pride. I'm hoping that Pride in the Hollers went well. I just was not up to it this year, guys.
We'll make it work for next year.
Exactly.
We'll find a way around.
So, honey, what do you think of this BS?
Sorry, I'm completely...
Leather doesn't belong at Pride. Bis don't belong. Hetero bis don't belong in the Pride March.
Well, that kind of gets us into what we're doing tonight.
It does.
Which is Ask Gay Bros Over 30, which is a cool subreddit you found. And actually one of the first questions, was from someone asking, technically, what age would you bring kids to Pride? But it kind of starts to all go part and parcel.
Right.
The roots of Pride are an adult event about an adult struggle.
Right.
I do understand the strong desire to recognize that forward progress, like years down the road, that, you know, we're not just at fight for our ability to live and stay out of prison, keep a job and housing and blah, blah, blah. I get that. But like, so when you start asking, like, well, what belongs at Pride? Well, those are some of the things that start to drift into, how do you make Pride more child and general public friendly?
Right.
And it's kind of, so, okay, how do you make a family Pride? And unfortunately, it does start to step on some of the more traditional aspects of Pride.
Well, you know, and I've said that, you know, I would not take my child to the LA riots. If you don't know what those are, you with your friend, go figure it out. I wouldn't take my child to the March on Washington, any of them. Go figure it out. You know, you wouldn't have your child in the Black Lives Matter marches that occurred, you know, because the police cannot behave themselves and thinks they're paramilitary. No, you don't take a child to a riot. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah. Which, historically, that's what Pride events were.
Right.
Like, these were not necessarily city-sanctioned events. In many places, these were events counter to.
Right.
And intended to be disruptive of, like, normal daily city functions. So Brenda says, people take children to Mountain Fest. I've seen more body parts flashing there. And there is, like, and even at concerts and things, like, we start seeing more kids at, like, public events traditionally considered more adult. And it's kind of how I think that's a choice one has as a parent. Like, if you want to bring your child to a typically adult event, I'm not saying bring your child to your porn studio, you know, work day. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I think we can all agree that's probably a bad idea. Like, really bad. Don't do that. Right. I mean, I think, you know, general decorum dictates that one pretty well. You know, kind of the same as, unfortunately, and the same as, you know, if you're a drug dealer, don't bring your child to work. It seems fair.
Seems normal.
You know, like, there's an extremity where it's like, no, that's not what we do here. Like, it just,
well,
there's
not only that, but, you know,
and this is not a child-friendly event that, like, it's supposed to be.
No, it's not supposed to be.
No. That's what I mean. It's not supposed to be, but
right. But, you know, and then you know, we see a lot of prides begging for volunteers. Who has the ability to mobilize volunteers? The leather daddies do. But you don't want the leather daddies and the leather boys there because they're dressed in leather.
Friendly.
And
it's not just.
But the go-go boys on the freaking parade route have less clothes on than most of the leather dudes do.
Yeah, but there's a big push for them to not be there either. That this provocative near nudity, this provocative look is not family friendly. And it kind of comes down to, well, but here's the thing, is this is kind of where it comes down to, is it feels very exclusionary to be like, oh, you know, if we leave the kids out,
right.
including kids that are, you know, bi, trans, gay, lesbian, like you name it, which is also filtering through society. You know, like we're seeing more children come out, you know, as it becomes more comfortable to do so. And so if there's like a first instinct that like we don't want to leave the kids out, that's forward progress, that's the ability to be who you are. And there's kind of this is a celebration of that. And it's like, it is, if a riot is a celebration.
Right.
And it's kind of, you have to keep going back to well, it started as a riot. This was a violent, well, theoretically, this was a violent taking of like center stage, notice, demand for rights. Like that's what it was.
Right.
And I think in some ways it still should be.
Yes.
Like, and I understand this idea, and I do not disagree with there being family-friendly prides.
Right.
I think that's really important, and that's really great for the development of these kids and of like the bigger, broader community as well. I think those have to coexist as a separate event, personally.
Yes.
Because in order to make a family-friendly pride, you start nixing people that have every right and historically have always been at what was a riot.
Right.
It's you start taking out the provocatively dressed or the nudist. You start taking out the people in leather. You start taking out the people into BDSM. You start taking, like, how many people do you have to remove from a pride event? And it's serious, because I don't think I've ever stopped to do like the tally list of how many people are inappropriate at a pride event to make it family friendly.
Right.
Because it feels like a pretty long list. Like, no porn stars, you can skip the lube and condom people, who, by the way, sponsor a lot of things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it starts feeling like you just have to start checking off.
Right.
And going, nope, you don't belong here, you don't belong here, you don't belong here either. And after a while, it's kind of like, what are you doing?
Oh, you're doing what the heteros do.
Oh.
Ooh, that's interesting.
We'll get to that comment. That's why I struggle with the, like, I feel bad leaving the kids out, but that's the whole need for a family-friendly event. Like, you've made your case. There is a need for a family-friendly event. There is a need for a child and general public event.
Right. And I like how San Francisco has done it. It's another weekend.
And I think that's fair. I think that's reasonable. I think that's kind of the only way it can be done that makes sense. Like, have it in June.
Yeah.
I'm totally down for that. No problem there.
Right.
But I think it has to become its own separate event. You cannot keep co-opting a traditionally, historically pride event just to make it family friendly, because you start, like, the number of people you erase from space. And it's like, I struggle with that. And more importantly, I struggle with the idea that you're not courting disaster with that. Like, if you erase these people from your pride event and make it family friendly, and I don't mean this as a threat to anyone, I really don't. It's just logically, at what point do these people band together and take back their pride?
Well, there's movements for that right now. In the larger metros, there are take back prides. There are other events going on. It's like Indianapolis. Ooh, I don't know who their proud president is, but she got some heat on her.
So actually, Emily says, I am in full approval of there being separate events. Little kids just shouldn't be exposed to adult content, and censorship is also bad. Making a separate family-friendly event is the best of both worlds. And that's why I wonder why so many events ended up there.
Well, they ended up there because they're not seeing full dramatics. What I mean by that is they got their marriage equality. We didn't get marriage equality. We got a watered down marriage equality, point blank, that's still being fought. Okay. We're still fighting for identity. We're still fighting for, name changes and basic fucking health care.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I cursed. Get used to it.
Yeah.
Especially on this show. We're still fighting for all these rights. And they're dancing around going, we got the marriage certificate. We can adopt children. For now.
Great. And I appreciate your ability to heteronormalize.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the Mattachine Society would be very proud of this moment and want to celebrate it. And I think that's a cool thing to do. Erasing everyone else and making it the LGB event.
Mm-hmm.
And even that's a little bit, faint.
Mm-hmm.
Because you kind of have to erase a chunk of it.
Right.
On that B seems really totally disrespectful of the fact that no. There's more alphabet. More alphabet. There's half a B, a whole T we haven't even dealt with, and then
right.
A whole other group of subcultures that you're just gonna whitewash away, and they don't exist.
Right.
That are still fighting for recognition.
Right.
And that's kind of where I start to have the struggle at is you can't keep doing that.
Exactly. Emily, I want to go back to Emily's comment because she does it. She is a parent. She has more credits in this space.
Exactly.
Emily's fully aware of what pride is. If she was going to vend there, what is Mott? 11, 12?
I think so. We'll wait for confirmation, but I'm sitting here running. I'm like, I think he's 12.
Right.
He's probably 11.
11, 12. Which would you rather have him? He's 11.
Yeah.
Dude, fully covered head to toe in leather. Mm-hmm. From boots, because they're going to wear, leather daddies wear full gear, boys wear full gear. Covered in leather. Or a blue chiffon dress. Girl covered in a blue chiffon freckle dress that literally hits her mid-thigh and it's French.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and Emily makes the point. You'll get little kids standing next to a gimp in leather and chains, and that'll be all over the news. And it's not even that I care that that's all over the news, because quite frankly, your leather people, your BDSM community is so about consent.
Yeah.
Which a minor cannot have, cannot do.
Right.
So therefore is at zero risk.
Mm-hmm.
Whole other side point we won't get into. Mm-hmm. But fundamentally it does, and to some degree I'm all about the startling realization. I just don't think kids should be used for that.
Right.
Quite frankly, like on one level, part of my little pride heart goes, oh, yes, slap that all over the news, make it a conversation, start finding out who your fucking bigots at work are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's the only reason. That's it. And the rest of me goes, that child should not be there in the first place. That situation should never occur. That is not an appropriate space for children. More importantly, it's very disrespectful to the guy in full leather.
Right.
This is supposed to be his place to be himself. No. You're being really disrespectful to the people that have every right to be there.
Right. The reason I asked this question was the first dude was one of the leather bear communities that raised almost like $20,000 for a cancer center and made news, and everyone was outlandish since they showed up in leather to deliver the check. The other was a Taylor Swift concert, which 12 and 13-year-olds are all over the place getting pictures with Taylor Swift at $250 a pop. Do we not see a double standard here?
Well, but you also see performers that are like, I know Pink has gotten upset at a concert before because there was a child present, and it put her, and there's video of it, put her in this position of like, this is not an appropriate song for children.
Exactly.
This is an adult content song. So Emily says, it's my responsibility as the parent to manage my kids' exposure to content that isn't appropriate. It's not the government's job. It's mine. I'm very much there with it.
Exactly.
Well, and additionally, she says, as a parent, if I'm going to any event that's got adult content, I get a babysitter for Minimont. Doesn't matter if it's a Pride event or a Megadeth concert with bikini girls and alcohol.
Exactly. Like, this is common adult sense. Like, I understand that it's been less than 10 years that we've legally been parents in most states. Get with it. The straights have had this figured out for years.
Essentially, get a babysitter, talk to grandma, talk to someone to relieve you of childcare duties, and do not drag your 11-year-old, your 10-year-old, your 5-year-old, your newborn to an event that is by no means for them. It is not for them. It has never been for them. It is not appropriate for them to be there. It is very rude, disrespectful, and everything else I could throw at this. The whole, like, pots, pans, and everything else.
And he breezes. It's very disrespectful. It's disrespectful to your child. Yes, it's wonderful we have families now. So it's wonderful that some of us has marriage rights. It's wonderful. But it's called being responsible, and it shouldn't be on the event runner.
Right. No. And more to the point, demanding this of the event.
Right.
Like, again, let's talk about who's being disrespectful here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I understand. Advocate for a family gay cruise. I'm totally about it. Go have your gay cruise with your family. That is awesome. Ban the poppers. Remove the alcohol. Make this as kid-friendly as possible. It'll be amazing. Enjoy your, have a child. We may or may not be married. Family pride cruise. That's amazing. Do the same for your event.
Right.
Like, we already understand this. For things like cruises, we do not see the hostile takeover of cruise events. Right. And I mean that in terms of ship cruise events. Why do you need to try to hostily take over Pride?
Right.
Why? And more to the point, if you are on a Pride board, why are you sitting there thinking the most brilliant thought you'll ever have is, we'll make this event family friendly? Why? make a family-friendly event.
Mhm.
Don't make the event family-friendly. Stop that. Make an event that is family-friendly.
Exactly.
Like, it's the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
The one that makes sense.
All right, so let's dig into some Reddits because, we found this Reddit. I find it interesting. Yes, we are going with more PG-13 topics. There's other questions in there, but we're going with PG-13 because we do have a wider audience.
And our first one is, what age would you bring kids to Pride?
18.
My husband... Okay.
But anyhow, go for it. Read the rest of it.
My husband, 30, and I, 31, are starting down our fatherhood path. So I've been thinking a lot about how to raise good kids. We just went to San Francisco Pride today, and it got me thinking about bringing our kids in the future. What age do y'all think kids need to be for it to be good, appropriate, to bring them to a big city, not specifically family-friendly Pride? For various reasons, I'm pretty desensitized to things like public nudity and kink, so my bar for what's vulgar or offensive is pretty high. And I haven't yet looked into research about what's actually helpful, harmful to kids in terms of adult topics or spaces. If y'all could help me start to level set, I'd appreciate it. I think you already know what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you say you're not good at this. I think you're great at it. I think you've already identified, though you're currently doing it with the, rose-tinted glasses of a future parent who wants to, do this all. And it's like, 18. Let them become adults. This is an adult space. Do not drag your kids into the adult space. Would you take your children? Do you know enough to know that you should not take your children to a bar?
Yeah.
Then don't take them to Pride. I think
Right.
It gets very simple. But moreover, can we talk about the reality here of what, unless it's just the overwhelm of this is where you are in your life and you just cannot believe it and you're just so excited. What about San Francisco Pride, of all prides, was something you looked around and went, I want to bring my kids to this?
Well, see, I have to debate which San Francisco Pride they went to.
Okay.
Because this is one of the cities that has a family-friendly Pride. It's like the first or second weekend in June. And then I know it was either this Saturday or last Saturday was adult Pride.
Right. Well, see, but here's the thing is what they say in their comment is big city, not specifically family friendly. And I'm like, what about a major city Pride that is not specifically family friendly was something you stood back, at least in your mind, remembering previous events you'd been to, and looked around and went, yeah, that's where I want to bring my kids.
Right.
I think pump the brakes, something is interfering in your brain, and maybe it is just the over-the-moon excitement that you're going to become a parent. Or you're not ready.
Yeah.
Or you need to quickly learn this filter of what is and is not an appropriate space to take a child. We don't take children to NC-17 movies. We do not take children to the adult bookstore. We don't take children to bars unless it has a restaurant, and then somehow we're all cool with that. Don't ask me. I don't make the rules. I still find that one weird, but there's this weird concept that exists that you don't take children to bars because obviously that is an adult-oriented space and it's illegal unless you have the bar inside of a restaurant And then apparently you can just like put people in skimpy costumes and it's still acceptable to bring children and it's a family-friendly restaurant. I've never gotten that.
Right.
So Emily says Godzilla movies he's allowed to watch now. Deadpool movies, gotta hold off till he's at least 16, 17. At least.
Right. And I don't know. If I was in the role, I would have some discussions. 16, 17, I would have some discussions.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, looking at modern day Pride,
mm-hmm.
and looking at New Orleans Fat Tuesday,
mm-hmm.
Mardi Gras, they're very similar.
Not a place I would think my first thought would be, let's take my kids.
Yeah.
Like, I'm more concerned with the number of adults who no longer get what's something you take children to and what isn't.
Right.
And more to the point, some of that has to do with there are other people here.
Right.
And I don't think any of them are expecting to have to watch out for a toddler. You know what I mean? Or mind yourself around the 13-year-old.
Exactly.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
Like, oh, we would flash you. Like, because, come on, it's Mardi Gras. We all know. Like, that's how you get Pete's. Why would you, in your head, think, oh, yeah, no, it'll be fine. I'll take my 14-year-old. Oh, no. None of these ages are legal. Can you consent to sexual activity? Should be your first question. So that immediately bumps you to 16. If you take a photo of this, could it constitute child pornography? Oh, it could? Then no! Leave your children at home. There you go. There's your standard.
Right.
If your child is just walking, because there actually are laws about pornography production.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is you cannot include a child.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't know if any of y'all been paying attention to your porn, but if there are, the best you get for a fully clothed child inside of a storyline in porn that involves a child situation is an adult child over 18 or a doll, in terms of like this desperate mother or this desperate father and the illusion of children. Like a doll in a stroller. Like, that's what you get. That's close you get to that. Why? It's illegal to include children in the production of porn.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you take your child to an event where historically that image is going to be constitute porn? Like, if you snap a photo of this is porn, and there is a minor present.
Right.
You've now made someone illegal.
Right. All right. So let's move on to the next one.
All right. Kevin says, bless you, Joe. What on earth? What did I say? I don't know if it's a good bless you or it's a bad bless you, or if I sneeze.
I think it's the sneeze. Anyhow.
All right. So where are we to next? Emily's comment or the next one?
Does dating in your 30s get easier?
All right. So does dating in your 30s get easier? I returned to apps and I just seem to attract the opposite of what I'm looking for. I don't want to be shallow, but I am. It's how I know I will at least be able to fill their cup and heart in start of the relationship. I live in a small town surrounded by even smaller towns. The bigger cities are too much for me, and I feel alone there. I guess this is just of that. I'm already doing what you would suggest. It just feels hopeless. Oh, I sneeze. Okay, cool.
All right. To be honest, no. Dating's never easy.
I mean, theoretically, dating does get easier in larger cities, but it doesn't just get easier because you're over 30.
Right. It gets easier in larger cities because you're more apt to find people hitting your checklist.
Right. So I think in terms of this, part of your struggle is you're going to have to broaden your net with someone who is interested in potentially moving into,
right,
at least like socially into the idea of moving into a more like not rural per se, but a small town-ish vibe.
Right.
And that can be hard to do.
Right. And I don't know. Looking back, has dating been easy? Now, granted, '30s. I'm trying to think. Actually, I think that it's a little easier it was a little easier in my 30s. That's also because I was already, there wasn't the same
I feel like you're wanting to say bullshit.
Well, there wasn't the same bullshit. I wasn't the same, he's so cute. Oh, he's got a, no, it's like, fuck that. You're replaceable tomorrow.
I mean, I guess it all depends upon what you find difficult in dating in general. Right. And does that get easier? Like, that might be a different way to approach this. Like, I think as you approach your 30s and older, you cut through literally the bullshit of like, you're not a kid anymore. You're not just getting struck by, new relationship energy and ready to upset your entire life for this romantic comedy tour. Right. I think you're a little less like scary. Like, I don't know what word for it. Because it's kind of scary when you think back on it, is like you would have, like, there's this impetus that, well, it's true love, I must give up everything and move to this rural blah blah. Like, people do this, or I will get on this plane and fly around the world. Like, you stop doing this crap. There's a lot less crap to it. Like, you tolerate less, you expect less of the crap. Like, you don't want to hear it. I don't have time for this. People got mortgages and shit to do. Right. You know what I mean? Because that's where it gets to. It's true. Like, I have a career. What is wrong with you? Right. Calm down. Exactly. Not that you can't work through things that are, boulders and stumbling blocks. You can. But it's a more realistic. It's not just run away, and it's we're going to more realistically go through that. Two, I think you stop lying to yourself and others as much. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you stop
doing the, oh, that's so cute. It's like, no, that's fucking annoying, and it'll be annoying even worse or later on life.
Well, there's that. I think you also, like, I'm kind of derailed at the moment, but you stop taking things that are problems and just tolerating them and whitewashing them and making, and hoping they'll go away, and, well, I can fix them. No, you can't. Or her, or that, they, them. You cannot fix them. Right. Like, he, she, they, them, whatever a person is. You cannot change them. You cannot fix them. They are who they are. They will only become more of who they are unless they choose, they, being the operative word, choose something different. As for the rest, you're not going to turn a fuck boy, quite frankly, into a house husband.
Mm-hmm.
Unless that's who they want to become. Like, they have to want that. You cannot abduct people into your fantasy and it turn out okay. And I think moving from your 20s to your 30s, you start to realize that there are things that are not mutually compatible.
Right.
And you start to see them and move on.
Right.
So it does feel like the pool shrinks. It feels like it gets harder. It's also because it's mostly because you're not sitting there trying to make incompatible things work together.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of things that are stumbling blocks. Stumbling blocks can be worked around and dealt with.
Yes.
You can't make things like you cannot make oil and water mix perfectly.
Right.
Like, it never will. I've got a fly. Damn fruit.
All right. All right. So let's move on to handling disrespectful boyfriends.
All right. All right. So how to address my boyfriend's disrespectful behavior. Hi, guys. My boyfriend did something that made me feel disrespected last night. He lost his temper and snapped at me in front of my mom for a situation that wasn't my fault. I'm still bothered by the way he spoke to me and also not doing it privately, so I want to talk to him about it. What are some ways to express it without trying to shame or control him? In my mind, I sound defensive. I need a literal script. I feel like I need an apology and to let him know I don't condone that kind of behavior. Thanks in advance. I already feel like this is further down a rabbit hole.
Right.
And someone just had a wake up. Like, someone flipped on a light switch and you went, oh my God, I'm in a rabbit hole.
Right.
Like, there's multiple things going on here. One, you should always feel comfortable in any of your relationships to go, dude, not cool.
Right. And I think that's not only dude, not cool, but how fucking dare you? Like, you address it head the fuck on. You rip into it like a fire-breathing dragon, and you wait for them to get their shit together.
I mean, I think a fair number of things turn into, we'll talk about that in the car. And it was so nice of you to have us over. We'll be leaving now. Get in the car. Always been my preferred method of a situation gets out of control. And it's like, I'm sorry, that's one of my warning phrases, quite frankly. In any relationship I've ever been in, is that this has gotten out of control. We need to leave now. We have become the problem.
Right.
And I think this is a situation that would have called for okay, we'll talk about that in the car. Thanks so much for having us. Get in the car. Oh, it's not meant to, like, hey, it's not like we get in the car and I'm going to beat you. It's what was that?
Right.
On what planet do you think that was an appropriate way to talk to me?
Yeah.
And like, sometimes arguments end up being about the way the argument started, not about what the argument is.
Exactly.
Because I do think you have a responsibility, and I think it is the benefits to dating over 30. Is that typically you expect people to be able to control their emotions just a little bit better as they move past 30.
Right.
Like your 20s, you have a lot of hormones pumping. Like your late teens, your early 20s, well, all the way through your 20s, you have a lot of hormones pumping. So sometimes we do open our mouths in our 20s and late teens, and being very passionate, say and do things we shouldn't.
Right.
Sometimes because we don't yet know better, because we haven't yet had the experience of being here.
Right.
Like, and that's fair. That's fair. I think there's a lot of firsts for your late teens and your 20s, where you find yourself in situations where you are emotionally provoked and you do not have the coping skills yet to contain yourself while also being heard. That said, as you kind of enter your 30s, it's expected, and will be expected by most people 30 and over, that you learn how to use your inside voice, and use your words to communicate. Now, I know that sounds very, very like treating your partner as a child.
Right.
But you know, some parents didn't finish. And it has unfortunately become your responsibility, at least so long as this relationship lasts, to try to help them get there.
Right.
And I'm not above, and will never be above looking at someone and going, okay, we're going to use our inside voices and use our words at any moment. I do not care if you are 3 years old. I do not care if you are 93 years old. I'm not above looking at you and saying those words.
Right.
We're going to use our indoor voices, and we're going to use our words. Because violent outbursts and flying fists or otherwise inappropriate behavior, disrespectful behavior, is not tolerable and should not be tolerated. So I think the way that you start this conversation is before we even get into what your problem was.
Right.
We need to address the way you decided to express yourself. Because I'm having a major problem with that.
Exactly.
Because you're supposed to be a grown adult who is in control of yourself, and that is not what I saw displayed.
Right.
So there's your script. And here's what comes after that script. If someone doesn't know how to handle that, then we work on that behavior until they do. And that is being supportive of your partner. If someone wants to argue that, which is totally different, that's where we have the moment of, okay, well, we will continue this conversation when you can see the problem with your behavior, because I can't even address your actual problem or being supportive of it, or you know, until we deal with how you decided to express it. Because I'm not in the, you know, practice of dating an emotional child.
Exactly.
So bring it up to an age-appropriate level for an adult relationship, and then we can handle the situation.
Right.
That's how you script that.
And that's how you handle it. You call them on their toes.
Yeah. Like, trying, because it does. It's basically, otherwise it becomes in the middle of a tantrum, which is what it is. You're trying to address a problem. You can't address problems in the middle of someone else's tantrum. It never works. It will never work.
Right.
You can't fix anything while someone's having a tantrum. You have to, like parenting, stop the tantrum get into the problem once we've addressed the tantrum and that this is not how we handle ourselves,
right,
we can't move forward.
Exactly. All right, so let's move over to the next one you chose.
All right. Finding an LGBT friendly doctor. I posted on here recently asking for some feedback about how to start the conversation about sexual health, vaccines, and stuff with my doctor. Got some great feedback from from you all, which I appreciate. Thought I'd give an update and also ask another follow-up question. So it was pretty clear my doctor wasn't well versed on the topic, not in a homophobic way or anything, but he clearly wasn't informed. He started with something like, I don't know if there's any vaccines you need. Thanks to you guys, I was able to kind of lead the conversation. I brought up the HPV vaccine and he agreed I could get it. I brought up meningitis and he said something like, I don't know if we really give that vaccine anymore. Sigh, I may have gotten the vaccine already before starting college, but still. He brought up hepatitis B and said he would check my antibodies and see if I need a booster. I asked about PrEP, even though I don't think I need that at this time. It was more to gauge his competence on LGBT health. He said he has some patients who asked for it and he's written prescriptions for it. He said there's no major side effects. I've heard it can be taxing on the liver, but didn't bother asking him since I doubt he knew. So I'm still keeping him as my primary care doctor because he honestly has been a great doctor to me for years and helped me with so many health-related matters. But I think I should consult with a more LGBT-friendly doctor about my sexual health, which brings me to my question. Any suggestions on how to search for a gay doctor or an LGBT competent one? For those of you who have one, how did you find them? Here's the thing.
Dr. Rainbow.
Which is a great resource. I think there's a lot of great resources, especially if you have community friends that are local-ish, at least local-ish. You can ask for recommendations. Like, give me some recommendations for an LGBT-friendly doctor, someone who is well-versed for sexual health questions and situations. That's an option. You have Dr. Rainbow. There's a few other resources out there for medical professionals. But for many people, and given your situation, I think you already have one.
Right.
I just think you have one that's a little inexperienced, who wants to be a good and decent doctor and, address the healthcare concerns of their patients, but is lacking some information.
Right.
And is not able to immediately answer your questions. I think sometimes the way you go about that is you start a different conversation, which is, look, you're a really great doctor, and I think you could, and I want to keep you as my primary care. I'm having issues with the fact that you're not, you have a lacking in this department. Is that something you're willing to work on or not? Right. Can I share information? Can I share resources for you to get information? What can I do to help?
Right.
And this is more common when you're dealing with, when you get out of the major cities, but you're not totally out in the middle of nowhere. You find yourself in that in-between. Right. Where you don't have a ton of choices medically.
Right.
And so finding, first and foremost, a really great provider in general, that will handle the majority of your health issues and do so appropriately and respectfully with dignity, and help you, becomes far more important. And you can start spackling the gaps.
Right. Well, and then,
as long as they're willing.
The other part of that is you've got to be your own advocate. You've got to know your health better than your doctor does. And then you turn around, and I will tell you what I do. I find the information, I disseminate the information to the doc. Doc looks at information, and then when we have our visit, he has his homework list ready. This is what I need done. This is what I need this scheduled. This is how I need this handled. Thank you.
Yeah.
And he's never had a problem.
No, but I know that it can sometimes be a little harder, and that's why we'll, kind of suggest talk to the doctor first, that they are willing to be involved in that.
Right.
I think you can give someone every resource in the world, and if they don't want it, they're never going to look at it.
Right.
And so it's a waste of your time and theirs. Because they're still going to receive it and get annoyed by it, and God only knows how that impacts the rest of their patient care for that day. Don't try to force someone to come down the yellow brick road with you. Try to walk with them if they're willing to go down the yellow brick road. Right.
Luckily, we got Super Doc. And believe me, I am not the traditional patient. Now, apparently, I am the example patient.
Pretty much, yes. Yeah, they are using you as the guinea pig.
Yeah.
Like, he just loves sending all of his student patients, or bringing in his student patients. Like, you gonna have fun with this one. Like, that poor nurse, though.
Oh, she was
we gotta find her a hobby. We gotta
something better. Yeah. Of course, now that we have to deal with two offices, you can tell they talk to each other.
Oh, apparently.
Yeah.
Which is great, because there are a lot of doctors that have multiple offices, but don't seem to have good, connection between them. Like, their staffs are totally, here's a schedule. Just meh.
Yeah.
And that's it. They don't interoperate. So actually seeing offices that crosstalk,
right?
Very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, because we walked into his new office because now he has two. And the nurse
temporarily.
Supposedly temporarily, but anyhow, his nurse was overexcited to see us, and she's like, he's got a student today, make sure you guys do some education. And I'm like, someone get me a chalkboard. Of course, when he walked in, he's like, how you doing, blah blah blah. I said, I think I found your chicken coop.
Yes, because that is that second location that we had not previously been to. Those patient rooms are half the size.
Exactly. They can't handle a standard appointment.
His normal office, which is far more rural, in terms of practice location. Honestly, I think he could do a whole surgery.
Yeah.
It would be a little cramped as a surgical suite. Okay. That's what we're saying. It would be a little cramped as a surgical suite, but it could work. This other office is
surgery there.
Well, basically, but I mean, a more advanced surgical procedure.
Right.
But then the second location, our impression of it, our first time there, this is a janitorial supply closet with an exam table.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If we had tripped over a broom and a bucket, getting in there would not have been surprised.
Right. Yeah.
No,
especially when you put 5 people in that room, it was a little tight. Yeah, because he was like, do you want to stand up for this procedure? And I'm like, I don't think there's room for me to stand up. Yeah.
Are you going to hoist me up to the ceiling? What you got?
Yeah. Did you bring your harnesses today? Anyhow. Yeah. But no, my other advice is get them young. Get them young. You want them more just in residency.
Baby
old doctors are stubborn.
Yes. Yeah. Youth lends itself here. Now there's trade-offs for you. You're going to hear, I have to get back to you on that.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
And those are actually great things to hear from your doctor, as sometimes frustrating as it can be.
Right.
And fully, like full disclosure on that, it can be really frustrating. Because it's like, hi, you're the professional. If we're both on Google, what the hell, man?
Right.
But that willingness to learn, that acceptance that look, I don't know it all. I don't know it all. I have to Google too. Is actually can be a really great thing. Even though it may sometimes cause you to have delays in care.
Right. But if you prep them, like 2 weeks out, I send Doc an email with everything I need to get him to cover in the appointment. And if it's something new, he's going to get research papers so that he can have time to prep for me. All right, guys, let's take a break and we'll be back.
Okay.
Are you ready for an enchanting journey of self-discovery and empowerment? Dive into the mystical world of Wicca with our courses guided by Lord Aeson Knight. Unveil Wicca's secrets, explore fundamental principles, and delve into essential topics like deity relationships and the purpose of rituals. Aeson Knight, a third-degree high priest, shares his wisdom through life coaching lessons, guiding you towards a brighter future. Step into the inner circle of enlightenment. Enroll today to embark on a journey toward a more empowered you. Click the link to take your first step into the magical circle.
Ready to join the Psychic Coffee Shop Network? By becoming our patron, you'll unlock exclusive content from Aeson Knight, host of the Psychic Coffee Shop podcast and co-host of the Mountain Bears podcast, alongside the tech-savvy Techie Joe. Choose from subscription options ranging from Tall $1, Grande $5, to Venti $10 per month, supporting us in covering production costs and beyond. Depending on your subscription level, enjoy discounts on private readings, free access to classes and special events, behind-the-scenes extras, and the chance to participate in station meetings. Plus, you'll get early access to new content and the opportunity to shape future topics. We'll acknowledge your support in the credits of our videos. Don't wait. Brew some magic and join us today as a valued member. Link in the show description. Aeson Knight, your gateway to a transformed life. In a world where anyone can claim to be a life coach, Aeson stands out as a true professional with the skills and qualifications to guide you on your journey to success. So why invest in a personal life coach? Let's explore the game-changing benefits Aeson brings to the table. Ever find it hard to stay committed to change on your own? Aeson's expertise ensures you stay on track. With him as your coach, that internal drive kicks in, motivating you to keep your promises and achieve your goals. Making a change is tough, but Aeson makes it 1,000 times easier. He's your unwavering support, guiding you through challenges, pushing you beyond your limits, and believing in you even when you doubt yourself. Friends are great, but they may not always want to see you succeed. Aeson, on the other hand, is dedicated solely to your success. He removes negativity and limiting beliefs, giving you the tailored support you need. Forget endless hours deciphering advice from books and videos. Aeson is your shortcut to effective change. He saves you time and money by offering personalized attention, guiding you toward the tools and lessons that will truly work for you. Ready for a better tomorrow? Book your discovery call with Aeson Knight now. Take the first step toward the life you've always dreamed of. Aeson Knight, your partner in transformation. Start your journey today.
All right. So let's move on to a little bit of safety protocol.
Yeah, so this last one is keeping yourself and your stuff safe when hosting. Are there best practices when hosting a hookup in your apartment to keep yourself and your stuff safe? I suppose one solution would be to rent a hotel room and host there, but I could see that getting expensive. Another might be to only host vetted and trusted gentlemen, but then I'm back to the hotel solution for guys I've only had coffee with a few times. And maybe that's the right solution for me. For you guys who host at home, what would you do to keep your valuables safe? How do you ensure your personal safety? Okay, so this gets into things that I think that regardless of sexual orientation, there are some things that I think people should be educated on. Like, I really think it needs to be part of like a safe sex talk, because it, like, things happen. When you are intimate with people, you typically bring them into intimate spaces and give them intimate access to your life. Now, whether that intimacy is for a brief few moments or years and decades, it's all kind of the same at some point.
Right.
So one, I'm a really big fan of, as someone approaches 18, and especially as a graduation gift, I think it should be in a guide somewhere.
Right.
The best thing you can ever get someone who is newly 18 is a literal fucking safe. I mean this sincerely. It is, and they make them, they're what, I think like $50 now.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be the ginormous one. Like, this is not like, you're 18. How much shit do you have?
Right.
But a reasonably sized one. Like the one I have from when I was 18, the cool thing I decided I wanted, that turns out every time someone hears about it, they're like, that's flipping genius. Why didn't anyone ever tell me this? But it's you know, it's basically, it fits a file folder. Perfect. Right. And it's only a few inches high. This is a great place for you to store things that are very important.
Right.
Birth certificate, social security card, credit cards you do not commonly use. It is an amazing place to lock up a wallet, a cell phone, anything that is actually high value. Right. That is also small and can easily be walked out the door with. Additionally, being able to hide a key for that somewhere, super important. Does not have to be the most amazing hiding place in the world, because if you've gotten to the point in which they have time to look, chances are you're not going to be able to stop them anyway.
Exactly. The other thing there is,
so there is an acceptance of risk.
Right. There should be an acceptance of risk. There should be an understanding, though, that like the dude, you should be with the dude. If it's a new dude, you shouldn't leave him unaccompanied. There's no letting him sleep over for the night. Like, grow up some boundaries. The other part, the thing about personal safety, it's personal safety. It's like any other safety. You know, some people take it a little far. Like, you know, there may be a machete beside someone's bed. There may be a ball bat behind a door. There may be a gun within a drawer. But it shouldn't get to that point.
I go with the general theory that at the point in which you start hiding weapons around your house, you're basically just giving someone supplies to hurt you. Which is controversial. People have different thoughts and opinions on that. Like, your mileage may vary. I would more so suggest, as my second thing that everyone should have, is a friend, a responsible adult friend that you can at least communicate about, and openly, honestly, about what you are doing.
Right.
And will be willing to check in on you, contact the police,
right,
and has reasonable expectations as to you about at what point do I get involved?
Right.
How do I communicate?
Right.
Are there any, and establish a safety phrase that you can use to communicate in an overheard situation, that you are not fine.
Right.
That sounds innocuous. I'll see you at brunch on Sunday. That's a great simple one.
Right.
Oh, I went by the mall and picked up a card for your kid.
Yeah.
Very innocuous sentence. Sounds totally reasonable to a conversation.
Right.
That needs to set off alarm bells for your friend. Call the cops. Call the cops now.
Right.
Oh, fuck. Get the cops here.
Right.
That you're not just going to say.
Right.
The rest is access control.
Right.
Consider your space. Look through your space. Some things you just can't hide. If you have a really nice television, you can't hide a really nice television.
Mm-mm.
You just can't. But it's also very hard to walk out with a really nice television. Laptops are a lot more portable.
Mm-hmm.
They make locks for them.
Right.
Additionally, if you want to go old school and simple, hide them in a drawer.
Yeah.
Don't leave things out that you are not willing to lose. Like, seriously look around your space. What can someone pick up and put in a pocket?
Right.
That's it. That's what you're looking for. So you do not want your car keys to be handy. You do not want your wallet to be handy. You do not want your laptop to be handy. You do not want your cell phone out of your sight. Like, these are the things you need to do.
Right.
Like, and beyond that, there is a risk. Generally speaking, you're probably not going to encounter a lot of people that are going to be someone to steal from you or harm you, statistically.
Right.
You do need to recognize if anything feels off and be willing to let it go.
Right.
Do not accept pressure from anyone to meet up. Like, if they start pressuring you, that's a good warning flag to back off.
Right.
If you meet someone and your spidey senses go off, something feels wrong, something feels weird, something seems inappropriate, let it go. Walk away, close the door. Do not be afraid to call the police to intervene with someone you have now trespassed from your property. Because that's what this situation becomes. If you have a moment where it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yep.
My other one, and this is again sometimes controversial, is if you encounter a blatant mismatch. Someone tells you they're 6 foot tall and they are 5'5" in platform shoes. You're done. And that's one of mine. If they tell you they're 150 pounds, they are 300 pounds, we're done.
Right.
Everyone fudges the numbers. Everyone fudges the details. Everyone fudges the age a little. I accept that. Someone's lying. Everyone lies online. It's fine. It's not typically all that materially different.
Right.
If someone says that they are 30 and there is no way in hell they're a day under 60, you're done.
Yeah.
That is a significant material lie that if you thought you were going to get away with is a level of self-deception I can't even tolerate.
Exactly.
Be willing to walk away, because if you think you're going to get away with that, I can't trust you.
Right.
And therein becomes, goodbye, we're not doing this.
Right.
Like, I will stop dates at that point. I show up, again, if someone says they're 40 and they're really 43, screw it. That's not a material difference. It really isn't. I mean, even if it's like, I'm 42, but I told you I was 39, get over it. Get over it. It's not a material difference. I said I was 6 foot, but I'm really 5'10". Not a material difference.
Exactly.
Not a material difference.
Right. The other thing there is I don't do headless conversations.
Fair. Well, and that's where I was kind of getting at with that one. Can be a little controversial because there are some people that get into very anonymous encounters and host at home. So sometimes, photos and stats are an exchange.
Right.
So sometimes you have to kind of figure out, like, if you're gonna do this, what makes you feel comfortable?
Right.
Do you want a picture? Do you want to see, like, talk about their stats? Do you want to have a conversation with someone? Do you have questions? They're screeners.
Right.
That, like, if you answer this wonky, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like,
all right. So Brenda says,
yes, a friend of mine would send me a pic of a new guy, sometimes his license plate, and a time that she would call and check in with me before a date with someone new. She was into a kink lifestyle. Pics were taken from their social media, easy to get without having to explain. As long as she's practicing if the pic doesn't match the person, like if you can't take that picture that you sent and put it on a flyer and an Amber Alert and lead you to this person today, right here, right now, walk away. Walk away. Now, another version of this, and I did that with a friend of mine in college, I gave her the password to my voicemail. Anything I went and did, I called my own phone number and left myself a voicemail. Simple enough system. God love college campuses and voicemail systems.
Yeah.
I left myself a voicemail. If my plan changed, if I had to meet up with someone and then go, which again is controversial, don't change locations, don't do that. But if I found myself in that situation, I called my voicemail, left myself a message of what we then did. With the knowledge that, okay, you may find my body in a ditch, but you're going to find the person who did it.
Right.
And that was comfortable enough for me. Is that, you know what, if I have to be the lesson someone learns from and the mistake someone else is never going to make because they're in prison, I'm okay with that. Because it will serve as an example to other people. Don't do that.
Right.
Because this is how it goes. So we make the world a better place.
Right. All right. So I hear that you want to figure out if you're an asshole or not.
All right. So am I the asshole for refusing to push my obese cousin around in a wheelchair for a day?
Right.
My cousin is approaching 600 pounds and requires a mobility scooter, as walking even short distances is very painful for her. In July, she has an out-of-state wedding to attend, and I was asked to taxi her to and from the event, as I'm not currently employed, so my calendar is open. Unfortunately, my car will not carry a mobility scooter, so my cousin will be required to use a wheelchair. The problem is that this event is being held in a public park. I can barely push her wheelchair on a paved surface, let alone across grass and dirt. I tried contacting a couple rental agencies in the area, but they would not lease scooters in this case because of the off-road use. My aunt and uncle have also declined to loan me their truck, which is how my cousin normally gets around because I have a pretty shitty driving history. I did look into renting a vehicle that could carry the scooter, but my cousin cannot afford to pay for that, and obviously with me being jobless, I can't either. The distance from parking to the event area is about 40 yards, which my cousin cannot handle walking. About the best solution anyone's come up with is that the party has a flatbed they're using to tote supplies from the cars. But my cousin says she would feel humiliated having to be rolled in like that. My cousin is furious with me, saying I'm shaming her by saying I cannot push her, but I feel it's the honest truth. Like 100%, the thin wheels of the wheelchair are going to dig into the ground, and I am not strong enough to handle that. My cousin has done a lot for me in the past, so I do feel bad saying no, but I feel like I've looked into every option at this point. Am I the asshole for not being willing to just go and give it the college try? Also, please don't degrade my cousin. I know I can't stop you, but it's all been said before. Please and thank you.
All right. There's a few things here that are problematical.
Okay.
Okay. One, if she has a shitty driving history, why does the aunt and uncle want her to drive the cousin? Secondly, they make off-road wheelchairs. They make off-road scooters. These are the ones you should be looking for.
Well, but then it still sounds like there's a likelihood there's not going to be an ability to pay for it.
Well, there's ways that can be given there.
Right.
Okay. There's organizations that has them available for use.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And it's like way cheap, if at all anything. I don't think the cousin has looked into the resources available.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start with you are not the asshole.
Right.
Here's the deal. Any kind of difference of ability does require some compromises, some expectations that this is going to take work and effort, a general acceptance that you ultimately, as the person with the difference of ability, are going to be the one that is the best expert for how to make this work for you.
Right.
And in doing so, whether you personally find solutions or you work with someone that can help you find solutions,
right,
dumping this on a random relative to suck it up buttercup and force themselves to do it the way you want them to is never a solution.
Right.
There are limits to how much you can expect a family member to be capable
right.
of, and you have to know what those limits are. There are solutions being offered, and I can understand those are not acceptable to you. Never, however, is the solution to bully someone into doing something they're not comfortable with to appease you. Your cousin, and I'm stating this from as I'm talking to the OP's cousin. You are bullying OP into doing it the way you've envisioned it. Without
only for you.
Right. But you're doing so without actually acknowledging anything they are saying, their current life condition, or the fact that this is for you. And so you do have to bear the weight of responsibility of what this is going to cost and entail. And if that's not acceptable to you, then you either have to find a reasonable solution that is acceptable to you, that is also acceptable to OP, or you have to recognize this is not going to happen, as unfortunate as that is. Again, bullying is not the solution, and it is never never shaming for someone to tell you what their limits and capacities are.
Well, and I'm looking at her follow-up comments. The wedding party has also said that the wheelchair is not the best option. They've offered the flatbed and helped push her, and the cousin keeps declining every offering of help here except the OP. So, and then there's a debate on whether their vehicle can handle the trip.
Which is already a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and this is where I'm at, is one, I appreciate OP for being like, look, I'm unemployed. I'm open. I can do this. Or I'm willing to do this. Right. I don't really think OP has the full ability to do this.
Right.
On multiple levels.
Right.
As in, you have a car, you're not sure if it's going to make the journey. Your car doesn't have the ability to take a mobility scooter. Your aunt and uncle are not trusting of your driving ability. Like, there's just so many things here. And it feels like everyone's, like, your aunt and uncle are just pawning her off, quite frankly.
Right.
And have apparently zero desire to actually get involved and make this happen.
Right. Well, the aunt's have to work and the uncle can't, for health reasons, make it. That's understandable, but they're her main caregivers.
Exactly. And quite frankly, you have an accessibility option to make all of this work. Suck it up. If anyone's going to get hit with the suck it up, buttercup, it's hand OP the keys to the way you already know that works, and accept that that comes with a risk.
Right.
And move forward.
All right.
That is your easiest solution.
Yeah. And the poll is up. Okay. So we do have gay poly advice. Let's hit over there.
All right. Navigating a Z. The full version of this story is quite long, but the shorter version is, I, 32 male, have found myself in a Z-type situation. I'm the hinge of my wife, 28 female, and Meta, 26 male. My Meta has been in an open relationship with his boyfriend for 3+ years, but they're currently living in different cities, which has given rise to a growing romantic relationship between him and I. His boyfriend refuses to come visit, and that has definitely caused issues in their relationship, on top of other stuff that's a bit more typical. I'm new to open poly with my wife, as I only recently came out as bi. I have two main questions. One, in gay relationships that are open, where the couple lives together but seeks sexual encounters with others, usually separately, and has not committed to marriage and the intertwining of lives that goes along with that, such as buying a house or otherwise mixing finances, etc., what's left for the primary relationship? In this particular example, they agreed on a boundary of no romantic emotional connection, but my Meta has a hard time separating that from the sexual relationship because he needs it to go along with sex. It almost seems like they became roommates, but with some extra relationship-style baggage and tension. 2, my Meta and his boyfriend are currently on a break. I'm trying to respect the relationship, but if it officially ends, I'm interested to spend more time with him. My wife has before mentioned that she doesn't really like the hierarchical approach to poly, but she does subscribe to anchor nesting partner. How do I tell my wife that I've never had a long-term male partner and I want to try that for a while? That might mean moving in together or more. I don't know yet. Thank you. Thanks for any time and thoughts on this.
Okay. People may not like it. You don't care what's going on in the other V. Not your problem.
Right, which, to explain, that's kind of what a Z is. It's a double V with an overlap.
Yeah.
So you have 1B going one direction, you have 1B going another direction, you have crossing, like you have metas that are 2 degrees apart.
Right.
Yeah.
So, one, your answer is, my answer to that is you don't care that they're on a break. You continue your relationship.
Mhm.
Okay. The other part of that is you don't need hierarchical. Sounds like your wife is more interested in kitchen tabletop.
Well, more to the point, your wife is right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, a hierarchical has many, many problems we have detailed many, 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 many times, so we're not going to take more show to do that. Short version real quick, is that there's a difference between having boundaries and having rules. Hierarchical classically has rules that are not boundaries.
Right.
And what's being talked about here is not a boundary, it's a rule.
Right.
And a particularly problematic one. Because I think it was intentionally meant to be like, well, you can do that, but I already know enough about you to know that if I set this rule and call it a boundary, you'll not be able to do that.
Right.
So you can go have sex with anyone you want. You just can't form any kind of romantic attachment, knowing that someone needs a romantic attachment in order to be able to have sex with them.
Right.
That's not a boundary. Never was it ever. It is a rule, and it is one specifically meant to be a polybuster.
Right.
All right, continue.
And so leave that alone, leave whatever's going on there alone, not your department. Anchoring nesting partners, that's, I think your wife is more subscribed to kitchen tabletop. I think it'll do perfectly well. I think that you either end up with 2 households or you end up with 1 household and a number of closets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Either which way.
Yeah.
I hope it works out for you. I think you and your wife both have your head screwed on straight.
Right.
I think your meta has very much unwillingly entered into an open relationship that they have tried to make impossible for your boyfriend to have. And I think your boyfriend's at the dawning realization of what this is.
Right. Well, the other part of this, and the part that I am kind of in debate on, is if this relationship isn't already dead that he's in.
I think it's been a problematic relationship from the beginning, and I'm kind of glad for the boyfriend that at least it was open enough for him to find someone that basically cracked the closet door and shone light on the totally screwed up situation they were living in.
Exactly.
Like, look, I think there are many successful relationships that can very much be described as like, roommates with benefits. But I also think you have to keep in mind that if that's the situation you're in, you have to respect that there's limits. And some of those limits are, you cannot be asking for wifey privileges when you have not paid the subscription for wifey privileges.
Ooh, I love that.
It's been a fun one on the internet for a while now. It's
know,
usually meant to
people-
encourage men to give rings, but and upgrade their services. But I find it personally useful for explaining the level of your relationship does not imply your entitlement to what you're asking for.
Right.
So if we're not co-supporting with commingled finances and our relationship is effectively roommates with benefits, you do not get to dictate to me things that I would expect to hear dictation from a spouse, because that's a shared experience, and we need to find a way to make that shared experience work. If I have my bedroom and you have yours, and I have my finances and you have yours, and you're not responsible for whether or not I eat, pay rent, or anything else, you don't get a say in a large portion of my life.
See, and I won't even have that relationship. Sorry.
Yeah.
Point blank would not. You know, you can go pay your own rent. You can go pay your own food. Great. Bye. Go do it yourself. I'm looking for a building of partners.
Yes, Brenda brings up a good point. If you were worried about your partner forming emotional attachments, wouldn't you come visit?
Right.
Hi. You cannot ask someone to deny themselves a romantic interest and stimulation, and that's not sexual, but just simple romantic stimulation.
Right.
Because you're unwilling to give it to them.
Right. Well, and see, the other part of that, and the part that aggravates me even more so, is, okay, if we're doing long distance, someone's hopping a plane, a train, or a car at least once a month. Like that, you can't do 6 months alone, a year alone, unless it's like Army, something like that. And then that's a whole different ballgame of negotiation.
And that's actually one of the biggest topics of that, is if you're doing long distance, you have to have a strong romantic attachment. You have to have a strong emotional attachment. You have to supplement by for the distance with affection and like that time spent together and working really hard to make sure you are not depriving each other.
Exactly. You know, or improving in long distance relationships. And let me clarify, long distance means that it takes more than an hour to get there. Don't be giving me that, oh, we live 20 minutes apart. Bullshit. You ain't in a long distance relationship. You're dating. So you have to do extra work. You can't be lazy in the game.
And that's what this sounds like, is your boyfriend's other boyfriend is being very lazy, wants a relationship that has no real attachment, wants it to be exclusive without calling it exclusive, and is basically just keeping your boyfriend dangling.
Right.
Like, just sit over here and wait until I figure out what I want. But don't make it difficult. But don't run away and find what you need. Right. Be ready to service my needs.
Yeah.
But I don't really care about your needs right now.
Right.
And it's like, that's not a relationship. That's why they're on a break.
Well, and that's why, I would be packing up their shit and shipping it to them.
I'm just hoping OP's boyfriend figures it out that this is never going to be what you want it to be, as long as you let it be this.
Right. And the other side of that, Mr. Hingy, is you need to start talking to your wife and talking out, okay, what's the next game with this if it goes this way? And me and him are dating. And we get to, we want to live together. Do I have two houses? Do we get, does he move into the spare bedroom and cook dinner for you? Like, where's the direction here?
And the way you start that is you and your wife need to sit down and read Ethical Slut.
Yes.
As we have so often recommended, but never more has it been necessary here, to understand how to have those conversations and what conversations you need to be having. Right. And then I think you need to get a copy for your boyfriend, so they understand what they should be experiencing that they're currently
not. Yes. And, the other one is more love, less conflict. That way you can figure out how to talk to both of them.
Always a good plan. Always a good plan.
Always a good plan. All right, let's check out that poll. Ooh,
How we
someone
poll?
get the jar. Someone get the jar.
Oh,
You've
no.
been dill pickled.
What?
Yep.
I didn't think that was a dill pickle.
Oh, that's a dill pickle because
Okay.
if she doesn't take the cousin, then she's mean. If she does take the cousin, she
she's
throws
not.
her back out and possibly blows her car up because it's a Kia Optima.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Multiple levels of problems there. Like, and again, I'm not trying to be mean about the cousin, but that starts getting into serious concerns of can your vehicle reasonably handle the demand you're putting on the vehicle?
Right.
And that is not meant to be abusive or rude. That is simple math.
Right.
That is a very small, I believe, 4-cylinder car. That may be approaching its limits.
Well, I'm thinking, and
especially if you have luggage and everything else. Because
right,
people don't ever think about the everything else they put in their car. On top of the people in the car.
Right. But, let's be blunt and honest here. There is no way that I'm going to ever own a Mazda.
Okay.
I can't fit in a damn thing.
Fair enough.
I am too damn tall. There are many cars that we can't own because they don't fit us. These new little smart cars, like I got vetoed on that buy faster than anyone has ever seen a veto fly.
Basically.
Very quickly. If it's going to be my fun passenger, I'm going to the grocery getter car, I can get a little tiny thing. But if it's going to be a family car, that ain't happening.
Like, if that's for you and only you to run around in, you could do that. That's not reasonable to our current situation and expectations of things we need right now.
Right.
But you could do that. But it's not going to work out well for everyone. Right. The more reasonable choice would be for us to get up to 2 vehicles that reasonably accommodate everyone.
Right. And it's like, my dreams of having my dream of, having the trike. That's not going to be that can't be cannot be counted as a household car.
Nope. That is a toy for you to go play with. And that's fine. I'm not opposed to you having toys that are for you to go play with. My problem is, before we buy toys for you to play with, we do have to meet our household needs.
Exactly. But my point about it is this girl is running around with a Matchbox toy. That ain't going to work.
No. This is not a viable solution, or this is a problematic solution to start with. Right. Becoming less viable with every detail.
Right.
And every inability to be flexible and every inability to self-invest in finding solutions and every rejection of any solution anyone offers. Again, I don't think that you have to take every solution that someone offers you. You're allowed to have your own thoughts and feelings about that and be like, not for me.
Right.
But you also have to accept that in some instances, there isn't a solution the way everyone is happy.
Right.
And that means that's not, let's go bully someone.
Right.
That's, let's either let this go and you're not going to this wedding because it's not viable.
Right.
Or you need to double overtime, find better solutions yourself, or find someone that can help you find better solutions.
Right. And the other part of this, and like today, we changed our plans because it's like me going out to an event today, not viable.
Yep.
Not viable.
Would have loved to have gone. Would have been great to go. was excited when we put it on the books and scheduled it.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically, I could have gone by myself.
Right.
Though that wouldn't have been a great choice for a one-car household.
Right.
Given some other things that are going on simultaneously, as in alternative rides are out of town and things like that. So yeah, sometimes you have to realize the only compromise is no.
Right.
And that sucks.
Right.
And welcome to adulthood, because sometimes it just sucks.
Exactly.
And that's okay. We'll do differently next year. We will know better next year. We will have a better ability to anticipate next year.
But no, yes, Brenda, the little sports car I want can handle what I want, what we need. We've tested it.
Yes. Well, yeah, you're the Nissan you want. Yes.
Yes. Like it'll fit all of us and the dog.
Yeah, it's not. It's a lot bigger than one would think. It's roomier and more comfortable than one would think. I think my only concern would be I can do that, and I think Invisible can as well.
Right. He loved it.
Yeah. I think it works out great as long as it's not the all the time, every single day solution.
Right.
Because my biggest problem, honestly, real quick, guys, with cars is I'm hitting a point in my life that trying to swivel out of a car has a tendency to twerk my knee.
Right.
And so I'm not a big fan of cars for that reason anymore.
Right.
The lower they are, the worse it gets. That my knee gets angry. So,
well,
like, it's not just like one of us. There's multiple things to consider.
There's multiple things to consider, and that's why I'm kind of eyeing something else than the Nissan. I'm watching it carefully and evaluating the idea.
Okay. Very interesting. If it's the Jeep, I swear to God.
What?
You can get a Jeep. Please don't get a Wrangler.
Okay, why not?
Unless it's that literal hard shell one. Like, it can have removable components. I'm fine with that. But if I have to deal with zippers and, like, saran wrap windows, I'm out. I am out.
Honey, they make slide-ons that you slide off.
Had to what?
Brenda, quickly tell him how Max transforms.
Okay. Well, but that's what I'm saying. The removable components I'm fine with. If an actual roof comes off this vehicle and locks onto the vehicle, I'm fine with that. If doors come off this vehicle, but actual doors lock onto it, I'm fine with that. If windows is part of that door, actually do normal up-down window movements and do not require a zipper, I'm fine with that.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of the soft side concept for a Jeep.
Right.
I'm too old for this. Is where I'm at. I'm too old. I'm too old for windows that are just a little thin piece of flexible plastic.
Right.
So Brenda says, would need to be 4-door unless you are single digit size. You're not getting in back seat. I couldn't believe how small that space is. Yeah. Jeeps are tiny.
Well, again, in all honesty, very rarely is.
Again, I have no problem with the roof is in 3 pieces, 2 front, 1 back. Not my problem. That they're actual rigid pieces, I'm fine with. There is no version of a rollover accident with me where I am not going to hit a surface that needs to be rigid, in which it ends well for me if it is flexible.
Right.
Like canvas and I are not friends.
Well, it's vinyl and metal normally, but anyhow, not the point.
Yeah.
My point being is I can deal with the two-door because most times when I'm driving, there's only one other person with me.
Most of the time, yes.
Most of the time. Or there's just me. Like 95% of the time, if there are two or more people in the car, Joe's driving.
Or if it's just me, I can leave you with the other vehicle and take that.
Right. Yeah.
Again, I'm fine with hard side. I just don't want that experience of being at a drive-through and being like, Vroom! No, that is not a car. That is a four-wheeler that has had a license plate attached to it.
I could hang that, but anyhow.
Okay, and I'm fine if that's an additional option.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with that. I just want the hardcore for me personally. Like, I'll tell you right now, I'm taking the flexible option off. The soft top goes on a shelf if I take it out.
Right.
Like, I will stop in a hurricane and let your tent material go flying while I put the hard pieces on. Because F that, I'm too old for components that require zippers and could be punctured with a utility knife.
Right. But no, I like the classic Jeep Wrangler. I've always liked it since the Dukes of Hazzard. Yes, I said that. Get over it.
Mm-hmm.
I could see myself in that.
I have no problem with it. Again, I'm just a hard side boy.
I know you are, and I am like
if I were to intentionally go buy a Jeep Wrangler, quite frankly, they can keep the soft side pieces. I will literally never use them.
Right. Well, I like the soft side pieces because the soft side pieces in the current Jeep Wranglers are not the doors and windows.
Oh, good. We went with hardcore doors and windows. Thank God.
Right.
See, I'm remembering the old days. I don't remember the old days when people actually bought these, and if you didn't get it when you bought it, one, it either wasn't available at all, didn't exist, or it was available at an extra charge.
Right.
Or you just, like, people literally had this offside Jeep and that's it. That's all they had.
Right.
There was nothing else. Like, that's it. You just accept that you have to, and no. I'm sorry, I had a coworker that had one. She loved her Jeep, and I appreciate she loved her Jeep. It was great for a couple months a year. In North Carolina, it was just like, it was crap in the winter. She froze to death all year long. She did nothing but shiver. Like, that is a level of cold driving to work that you do not get over before you have to drive home. In the summer, there was no amount of taking it all off that created cooling. You just baked and needed sunscreen to commute.
Okay. But no, I like the 3.6L. The only problem I'm having is finding it an automatic. And yeah, the doors are hard doors.
Awesome. Then I'm good.
There's just
I'm
two
good.
of them. You pop the soft top off, and I've got my convertible. It's heavy and ruggy enough. If I want to go four-wheeling, take off, I can go do that.
Small two doors and I are fine. Like, please keep in mind, my first vehicle was a Ford Festiva manual transmission. I can deal with small. I mean, I may not love it at this point in my life, but I've dealt with small. I've dealt with two-door. I have dealt with, like, I'm cool with that.
Right.
My problem becomes I just don't do soft side.
Right.
Now, granted, my Ford Festiva had more glass than it probably had car.
Right.
Like, please keep that in mind. Like, it's a glass bubble with a thin little, and like, God bless, I've had kitchen table legs that were bigger than my AB or C pillar.
Right. But, you know, we'll see. We're still not to the point to where I'm ready to pull the trigger. I have to do a lot of research. You know, there's a lot of options that I want, and I'm not buying brand new because $40,000. I didn't pay that much for this house. I'm not paying that for a car. So we'll see where we go to.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys.
So pickle it is.
See, and Max is automatic.
Aww. So
Yeah.
basically, he wants to steal Max, is what I'm hearing. Like, Max is the perfect car. If you wake up and he's not, where you left him.
I don't want to steal Max out because Max is black.
Oh, yeah, because that's the problem. I'm just saying, a cowboy hat wearing homosexual with a beard may have stolen him.
Well, I'm saying one, well, I think Max is beautiful. I don't have good luck with black cars. Two, I kind of have my taste on either a purple or the, what is it called? It's something desert. It's tan, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Because where Max is hardline and black and nice and has great lines, the purple one I think would just be perfect for me. It also opens me up to do like parades and shit in it. And I think it'd be great business advertisement.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. We will see you tomorrow. We are doing the July setup. Grab your planners. The Psychic Planner is in the barista thing. If you've been wanting to try the Psychic Planner, it's there. Free download. Go get it. I uploaded that yesterday. It's a simple print. Like everything's sized for a letter. Print it and cut it. But anyhow, take it away, Joe.
All right. So, of course, we want to thank our sponsors, Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Joan Owen, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, and Devin. If you would like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com, and you too can help him one day buy Barney the Dino Whore Jeep. What? It'll be purple.
Yes,
I'm calling it Barney the Dino Whore.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine with that. All right, guys. We will see you tomorrow.
Night. Bye.